A woman contacts the police for assistance when she witnesses a group of individuals molesting a girl in a nearby alley. The officer in the patrol car responds with a smile, assuring the woman that they will investigate the situation. Once the woman leaves, the officer's expression changes, and he tells his partner that they should finish their shift. In shock, the female officer points out that the girl in question is the same one mentioned by the woman, and she needs their help. The officer arrogantly questions how the two of them can assist the girl. The female officer suggests calling for backup, but the officer dismisses the idea, claiming that the group of people will likely release the girl after they have had their way with her. He also mentions that encountering such incidents is not uncommon for them. Suddenly, a voice shouts, demanding the release of the girl. Both officers are taken aback as they look outside and see another officer standing at the entrance of the alley. The gangsters glare at the officer in anger. He repeats his demand with a menacing look, instructing them to let the girl go. One of the gangsters provocatively blows smoke from his cigarette into the officer's face, questioning what the officer will do if he refuses. In response, the officer slaps the man, sending him tumbling to the ground with a bleeding nose. The officers in the car are shocked by their colleague's actions, as are the other people present. Fueled by anger, the officer cracks his knuckles and declares that if the man refuses to release the girl, he will have to fight them all. The gangsters attack the officer, hurling insults at him. Undeterred, he delivers a powerful punch to one of them, striking him in the face. The officers in the car are astounded by their colleague's ability to single-handedly fend off the attackers. One of the gangsters pulls out a pocket knife, threatening to kill the officer. Unfazed, the officer laughs and questions whether the man has ever taken a life. The man shouts that he has indeed killed before, but the officer dismisses his claim, insisting that the man is lying. Approaching him, the officer firmly grabs the man's hand and, with an unsettling gaze, asserts that the man has never truly spilled blood, evident from the look in his eyes. The man, overcome with fear, drops the knife and tremulously asks who the officer is. Gripping the man's shoulder, the officer reveals that he is the one responsible for ensuring that they all end up in jail, applying intense pressure to the man's shoulder. Adjusting his cap with a sinister grin, he declares that he is a police officer. 1 week prior at Incheon Port, a man named Beegwing opened a container containing individuals armed with weapons. He remarks that everyone is already present. Another man, Maple Leaf, with blonde hair, smiles and playfully asks why Gwang took so long. Maple Leaf is also a killer. Maple Leaf inquires whether Gwang is feeling too at ease, given that this is his final mission. Gwang responds, questioning why he is considered late and asking about the nature of the mission. Maple Leaf's sinister smile widens as he reveals that Buddha specifically requested Maple Leaf to work alongside Gwang. A man behind Gwang attempts to place a chain around his neck, but Gwang swiftly intervenes, throwing the man to the ground. Filled with anger, Gwang demands to know what they are doing with the chain. Maple Leaf casually remarks that he is merely doing his job. Taken aback, Gwang asks about the nature of this job. Maple Leaf laughs and suggests that it is a retirement ceremony for the legendary killer, B. Gwang. The group then launches a simultaneous attack on Gwang. Gwang manages to use the chain against one of the men, smashing his face with his knee. As another man attacks with an axe, Gwang evades the blow and counterattacks with a kick. He deftly avoids the next assailant, places the chain around his neck, and snaps it with furious strength, breaking his neck. Maple Leaf observes Gwang's actions with interest. Gwang, with a murderous expression, questions Maple Leaf's belief that such a small group of people could eliminate him. Maple Leaf chuckles and draws a gun, expressing his reluctance to use it. He explains that these are but his orders and suggests that Gwang, who is already gravely injured, should make things easier for Maple Leaf by simply dying, as using a gun would create an unnecessary mess. Gwang is taken aback to discover that it was Buddha's orders. With an angry expression, he vents his frustration, mentioning that Buddha had assured him he was free to do as he pleased after completing his last mission. Maple, while pointing a gun at Gwang, retorts that Gwang can ask him about it in hell before bidding him farewell. Filled with rage, Gwang lunges at Maple, who shoots back in self-defense. Meanwhile, at a sacred shrine, a monk is deep in prayer when he receives a phone call. Curious, he inquires if the task has been completed. The person on the other end confirms that everything has been taken care of, leaving the monk surprised. At the port, Maple lies dead, and Gwang is on the phone. The monk wonders if is Gwang on the line, as he is just preparing for the funeral. The monk questions how Gwang knew it was meant for him. Gwang probes if the monk is currently at the temple, to which the monk affirms that he is, explaining that as a monk, he should be at the temple. Gwang challenges the monk, questioning if he can even make it there. Outside the temple, A multitude of people stand guard, armed with weapons. Gwang instructs them to keep the doors open, boldly stating that he is already at the temple. Holding a knife, Gwang confronts the crowd, warning that he will force his way in if the monk does not comply. A man approaches Gwang and reveals that Buddha is in the process of preparing for a funeral. Mockingly, Gwang asks if a true monk kidnaps children and trains them to become assassins, profiting from their skills. Enraged, the man attacks Gwang with an axe, but Gwang swiftly defends himself with his knife. Shouting at the crowd to get out of his way, Gwang expresses his bitterness, having lost everything to those who trained him to be an assassin. He charges at the people, killing them one by one, until he finally confronts Buddha. Buddha aims a gun at Gwang, who reminds him of his promise to let Gwang live a normal life after completing his final mission. Buddha claims that he did fulfill his promise, offering Gwang the opportunity to live like a human being. Approaching Gwang with a smirk, Buddha asserts that all humans eventually die, and that is the essence of living like a human. He points the gun at Gwang's head and prays for the merciful Buddha to save them. Gwang declares that he will seek revenge, but before he can act, Buddha shoots him. Suddenly, Gwang hears a voice urging him to wake up. He opens his eyes to find himself in a bed surrounded by police officers. The officers are surprised by Gwang's shocked reaction upon seeing them. An officer addresses Gwang as Kim Kyong-soo, urging him to gather himself. Confused, Gwang asks who he is, and the officers inform him that he is Gwang. Handing Gwang an ID and a mirror, they reveal his face on the notice board. Gwang is stunned to see his unrecognizable appearance and realizes that he has become a police officer. In a twist of fate, the legendary assassin B. Gwang transitions into a member of the police force. The legendary assassin B. Gwang, after being betrayed by his organization, was reborn as a police officer and was supposed to be plotting his revenge, yet he was getting slapped in the face. A senior officer slaps Kim, cursing him. How did Gwang get into this situation? A while ago, Kim was shocked. He questioned if he tried to kill himself. An officer agrees and asks how could Kim do that. She says that Kim was lucky that his rope snapped when he tried to, and he was unconscious for a whole week. She comes near him and asks what Kim thinks writing the names of the seniors on his suicide note would solve all their problems. He asks what nonsense she is speaking. She tells him that he wrote the names of the seniors who were bullying them in the suicide note. The senior said in anger, why were the newcomers this year so bad? The senior comes closer to Kim and says that his parents committed double suicide after committing a crime and asks why Kim tried to follow in their shoes. He says arrogantly that if Kim wanted to die, then he should do it quietly, and why did he write their names in the note? He was about to slap Kim, but he stopped his hand. The senior asks if Kim has gone insane. He shouts at Jo, asking if it was considered as an act of rebellion. She says that she couldn't see it from there. The other senior comes near her and says that he will help her up while grabbing her hair. Kim curses the seniors and says that this place is a mess too. The senior shouts at Kim and he tightens his grip on the senior's arm. The senior shouts in pain. The other officers are shocked to see Kim. He strikes with his fingers at the senior's neck, making him unconscious. The other gets scared seeing Kim right above him. Kim stomps on his balls. The senior screams in pain. The juniors were shocked to witness the scene. Jo shouts that Kim is rebelling against the seniors. Kim looks at them in confusion. At the superintendent's office, Choi shouts at Kim, telling him to get out of the police station, and says that policemen fighting against each other and Kim hit his senior. Choi asks Kim if he thought that policemen couldn't be fired that easily. Choi says that he will make sure Kim never wears that uniform ever again and tells him to get out of his office. Kim sits in a park and thinks how can coppers be worse. At the police station, Jo asks Kim if he has gone mad. Kim says that it was just self-defense. The junior tells him that the senior's father was a deputy assistant commissioner. Kim questions and he says that the senior's father has a tagak mugungwa. They wave at Kim, praying for Kim to get home safe, and says that they'll miss him. At the park, Kim says that it was the reason they couldn't catch people like Gwang, because they were rotting from the inside out. He thinks about the senior's father who had a tagak, which was equivalent to a star in the army. He regrets and says that he should have been reborn as a high-ranked cop at least, and he was an outcast in the organization too. He looks at his cap and thinks about the time when he was small and got adopted by Buddha during a rainy night, and then became the assassin B. Gwang, and then got betrayed and killed by Buddha. At Kim's desk, with the rope he tried to commit suicide in his hand, Gwang says that Kim was abandoned by his parents and his organization as well. Gwang says that at least he and Kim had one thing in common. He decides to head out. At the Seobu Police Department, Senior Superintendent General Hongjin looks at the file with the information about the Waguksa operation being discarded, Suddenly a person with a black mask appears behind him and says it has been a while and asks if Hong has been well. Hong is surprised and tries to turn around, but the man points a pen at his neck and stops him and asks if they can have a little chat. Hong asks who the man is and the man tells him that he is Bi Guang. Hong was shocked to hear it. After a while, Hong and Guang sit face to face and Hong says arrogantly that it was nonsense and asks if Kim was Bi Guang, and he died and got reborn as a police officer. Kim says that he was not asking Hong to believe him, but he was threatening him with a creepy smile. Kim says that he will help Hong with the Huaguxa operation. Hong is surprised and asks who Kim is. Kim says that he was Bi Guang. Hong tries to alert the guards with his walkie-talkie while saying that it isn't the right place to talk about Huaguxa. He presses the button on the talkie, and it buzzes loudly. Hong gets shocked. Kim says angrily that he keeps saying that he is not asking Hong for a favor but threatening him. All the cops at the police station were beaten by Kim. Hong is taken aback and asks about the identity of the person. Kim leans in and reveals that he is Bi Guang. Hong vehemently denies the possibility. However, Kim reminds him of the promise they made 3 years ago. Flashing back, Hong was severely injured on a rainy night when a man approached him claiming to be Bi Guang. Hong inquired if he was affiliated with Huaguxa. Guang acknowledged this and accused Hong of causing trouble by pursuing Buddha. According to Guang, Hong was the first person to come so close to Buddha that he asked Guang to deliver a message on his behalf. Guang pressed a button on his umbrella, revealing a sharp needle at its top, and pointed it at Hong, stating that Buddha had no interest in an old man like him. Fearing for his life, Hong pleaded for mercy. Guang removed his mask and proposed a deal. If Hong promised to imprison Buddha within 3 years, Guang would spare his life. Hong questioned Guang's motives, wondering why a member of the same organization would want to arrest Buddha. Guang responded by asking if Hong liked monks and expressed his disdain for them due to their bald heads. Returning to the present, Kim expresses disappointment that Hong broke their promise and had seemingly ingratiated himself with his superiors, evident from the 3 Mugungwa badges on his shoulders, indicating his promotions in the past 3 years. Pulling out a pen, Kim threatens to kill Hong, claiming he has left him no choice. Terrified, Hong denies breaking their promise, asserting that he has no other option. He challenges Kim's belief that he succeeded by sucking up to his superiors, claiming that he obtained classified information through his position as a high-ranking officer and the intelligence he had gathered. Hong recalls a recent police conference where he discussed the organization of assassins, stating that his seniors ridiculed him for suggesting that the boss, known as Buddha, was affiliated with the Huaguxa Temple, a renowned cultural asset of the country. Hong defends his theory by citing the results of his squad's investigation, which indicated Buddha's involvement. One senior warns Hong about potential divine retribution and advises him to keep religious matters to himself. Currently, Kim questions if the operation was halted by Hong's seniors, and Hong agrees. Hong places some files on the table and instructs Kim to examine the evidence his squad managed to gather. After reviewing the files, Kim tossed them back onto the table, acknowledging that while Hong's investigation was flawed, some aspects were accurate. Kim decides to spare Hong's life, much to Hong's relief. Kim leans in and inquires why Hong is relieved, stating that he will only spare him for the time being. Kim then proposes that he will assist Hong in avoiding harm from others. With a salute and a grin, Kim expresses his desire to establish a positive relationship with Hong. At the Ilsan police station, Joe and the rest of the team are hard at work when suddenly, someone forcefully kicks open the door, startling everyone. It is Kim who enters the station, greeting everyone with a good morning. The presence of Kim surprised everyone, as they believed he had been fired. The senior officer enters angrily, demanding an explanation for the commotion. His anger intensifies upon seeing Kim, and he reprimands him for disregarding the instructions to stay away. Kim inquires about the senior officers, and the head officer informs him that they are on sick leave. Through gritted teeth, the head officer orders Kim to leave immediately. Suddenly, a figure emerges from behind Kim, causing a stir among the onlookers. The head officer's expression changes as he recognizes Senior Superintendent Hong. He questions the purpose of Hong's visit to the station. Hong laughs and casually mentions that he came to see how Kim's workplace was. The head officer is taken aback by this revelation and inquires about the relationship between Hong and Kim. Hong reveals that Kim is his savior and instructs the head officer to take good care of him. Outside the station, Hong and Kim sit on a park bench. Kim comments on the perks of being a high-ranking officer, to which Hong asks if that's all Kim needs. Kim reveals that he has one more request for Hong. Later that night at the temple, Yua is deep in prayer when he senses someone's presence. Startled, he turns around and questions who is there. A figure appears at the door, claiming to be a tormented soul holding onto a grudge. Wearing a red mask, he declares himself to be a mere specter. Yua reacts by throwing incense sticks at the masked man, who effortlessly dodges them and admonishes Yua for damaging the sacred temple. Curious about the identity of the masked man, Yua inquires further. The masked man repeats that he is simply a specter. Yua loses his composure and calls for assistance, prompting others to enter the scene. Yua suggests that they help the masked man move on and achieve enlightenment, as the crowd encircles the mysterious figure. The people launch an attack on the masked man. He swiftly evades one person's strike and delivers a punch to the stomach, causing them to drop their knife. Seizing the opportunity, he grabs the knife and charges towards the remaining individuals. Skillfully dodging an attacker wielding an axe, he quickly stabs and slashes, resulting in the demise of half of them. The others become frightened and take a step back, while Yua is shocked to witness the masked man's brutal actions. With a menacing gaze, the masked man reveals himself to be Kim. Yua intervenes and instructs everyone to retreat. Kim believes that the jamming signals orchestrated by Orchid have disabled the camera in his eye. He asserts that there are more souls in need of enlightenment and urges Yua to commence without delay, cautioning that they may also become specters like him. Yua commands everyone to withdraw and confronts Kim, expressing ignorance about who sent him but condemning his malevolent nature. Yua insists that Kim approach him so he can examine his face. Kim claims to be fine and only comes to say so, assuring Yua that he will eventually discover his true identity. Yua seizes the opportunity, launching himself at Kim with lethal intent and grabbing his mask. Suddenly, a smokescreen materializes, surprising everyone. Concerned individuals inquire about Yua's well-being, to which he responds by displaying the mask in his hand and crushing it into pieces. The following morning, Hong, appearing fatigued, encounters Kim. Mockingly, Kim remarks that Hong seems to have aged 10 years since yesterday. Hong attributes this to Kim's actions, recounting the extensive effort required to cover up his intrusion into the police department and the smuggling of tear gas grenades. Angrily, Hong states that he had to work overtime to rectify the situation. Kim questions why it is so complicated to apprehend a criminal. Hong explains that they must gather evidence before arresting Yua. Kim wonders why it is difficult to bring a criminal to justice. Hong retorts that someone like Kim, who has killed indiscriminately, would not understand. Kim insists that he only eliminates those he deems necessary and playfully imitates grabbing Hong's neck, asserting that Hong is living proof of his words. Hong asserts that no individual has the right to take another person's life, emphasizing that all humans are judged and subjected to the laws they create. Angrily, Kim questions whether Yua was judged and put on trial. Hong explains that even if they apprehend criminals, they require concrete evidence to prove Yua's guilt. Kim sighs and suggests forming his own squad. Shocked, Hong exclaims that Kim, a rookie with no experience, cannot establish a squad. Kim declares himself to be the strongest, but Hong maintains that it is still not possible. Kim inquires about the steps he must take to reach a rank that would allow him to create his own squad. Hong explains that he needs at least one small Mugungwa. Kim remarks with a grin that he will get to work. Hong advises Kim to be patient, but Kim mysteriously disappears from the scene. Kim seeks advice from Joe at the Ilsen police station on how to advance in his career. Joe informs him that he must pass a promotional exam. However, their conversation is interrupted when a drunk woman causes a disturbance. A senior officer instructs Kim to handle the situation. Joe questions why Kim was unaware of this responsibility if his memories have returned. Kim inquires about the timing of the exam. As the intoxicated lady leans on him, she requests alcohol instead of focusing on the test. Joe explains that Kim must have at least 1 year of experience to be eligible for the exam. Amid their conversation, Joe receives a phone call. Kim swiftly subdues the lady and questions if there is a faster way to get promoted. Joe wonders why Kim is so eager to obtain a Mugungwa, a rank in the police force. Quickly, she clarifies that it typically takes more than 10 years for a rookie to achieve this rank, even with the support of a senior superintendent. Joe emphasizes that taking the promotion exam is the conventional way to advance. Kim expresses his disappointment at the lack of alternatives. Joe reveals that there is one option, a special promotion based on exceptional performance in apprehending criminals. She explains that since rookies lack experience in this area, they usually handle civilian complaints instead. While Joe momentarily looks away, Kim disappears from the scene. Later, at a night market, Kim arrives and questions why a police officer needs to excel in studying, asserting that their job is to apprehend criminals and send them to jail. His statement catches the attention of the crowd, who become fearful upon seeing him in his uniform. Kim confidently puts on his cap and declares his determination to start working towards that special promotion. It was said that 1 in 3 Koreans had a criminal record, and the record could be from an insignificant offense, but what Kim was looking for such a crime that could get him a special promotion. Kim disguises himself within the crowd and searches for people who can be suspected of a crime and can get him a special promotion, such as a crime that he didn't pay much attention to in his previous life. Kim notices a man giving off some cards to a girl. The card was a drug card. Kim smiles creepily as he finds out the type of crime that can get him a special promotion: felony. At a nightclub, the music suddenly stops and the crowd starts complaining. A man stands on the stage and asks why these people are so dull and not dancing, and tells them to shake their hips and dance more. Some girls say that they need some champagne, and if they get some champagne then it will get more fun. The man laughs creepily and asks if they want them to open their mouths. He brings out some more drug cards and throws them in the air and sprays champagne bottles, telling them to party like there is no tomorrow. Kim interrupts them, saying they will be in jail when they wake up tomorrow with a card in his hand. The man laughs and says if Kim was pissed because he couldn't find a girl, and tells him to take one of the cards and he'll be able to do it all day. Kim says that he doesn't need all day and says that those cards were narcotics. Everyone is surprised to find out that those cards were drugs. The man gets angry and asks who he is and why was he spouting nonsense. Kim unzips his jacket and reveals his police uniform. Everyone gets scared. The man asks his guards why there is a cop there. The guard was saying he didn't know, and suddenly a champagne bottle hit his face. It was Kim who threw the bottle and said that they could chat in the prison cell. They start running. The man entered to pack up and leave since the cops were there. A guard gets thrown inside, and behind him, Kim rushes in, kicking the other guy. They tried to open Tried Gate, but it was blocked from the other side by a chair. Kim comes behind them and with a murderous look asks if they were playing cops and robbers with him. The man asks if Kim is on his own. Kim asks what if he was. The man smiles and says that he thought it was a police raid and orders his men to attack Kim. The guards take out red-colored cards and put them on their necks. The drug takes effect, making them immensely strong. The man says that Kim is dead now. Kim punches one of the men in the face, making him fall on the ground screaming in pain. Kim says they were supposed to scream like that when it hurt. He beats them both, making the man scared to death. He proposes to talk and asks if Kim wants anything. He can get Kim whatever he wants. Kim wanted a special promotion while reaching to grab the man. Later in a news report, the reporter says that all the members of an organized drug group were arrested. Choi pauses the video and says to Kim that he has done a good job. Kim smiles as he gets promoted to senior police officer and says that he just did what an officer should do and thanks Choi. Choi scolds Kim, but he interrupts, telling Choi to look at the thing. He takes out a leaf packet from his bag, saying it was hidden at the crime scene. Choi gets shocked to see Paulownia leaves. Somewhere else, a man with a barred mask puts a red drug sticker on a naked man. The man says in pain that he was in charge of Ilsen, but O'Nilson his underlings. The lady sitting orders her men to stick the drug on him. They stick the drug on him, and the man bursts out in blood and dies. She says that Bigwang died and Maple got scolded, and she didn't want to get scolded. She was sitting with a white mask and drug patches all over her body. She looks at Kim's picture and says that she will have to take care of him soon. At the station, Kim tells Choi about November Paulownia Phoenix, nicknamed Shitnix, who was a drug dealer.